Now I'm about to start. Listen, I'm gonna start with this, but this is not what this conversation is about. This conversation is about the word body. The thing starts out like this. I was at a particular alterations place, and I seen a young lady sitting down. I asked the young lady, I said, listen, if you were a neurosurgeon, so you was making a whole lot of money, you was a neurosurgeon, but you didn't like it, but it made you a lot of money. And on the other hand, you really wanted to do something else. You really wanted to be a teacher. I said, would you give it up? Would you give up being a neurosurgeon and become a teacher? And she said to me, she think about it. And she said, how much do I say, you really love being a teacher. You really love taking care of kids. So she says to me, she said, well, what I would do, I'd make sure that I'm stable from all the money that I made from being a neurosurgeon. And then I would go to pursue my teaching career because teachers don't make as much money. So I would make sure I have a safe or fallback plan before I left and did that. I said, but if you died being a neurosurgeon, but you really wanted to be a teacher, then you would die unhappy. She said, I understand exactly what you're saying. And then I said this to her. I said, well, what about this? Did you know that over 75 to 76% of the people that are successful now actually were at rock bottom before they became successful? And this, she's a college student, by the way. So she says to me, you know what? My dad is in that situation right now. He's doing something just so I can go to college. And I said, I understand that. But I said, so knowing that most people that are successful now hit rock bottom, would you still want that nest egg to fall back on? She said, possibly. And I said to her, I said, no, that would not be a good idea. She laughed because I think she got it, or she was like, this guy's crazy. But the reason why having the nest egg to fall back on wouldn't be a good idea is this. If you don't have anything, if someone takes everything away from you, and then you go choose a career or something that you really want to do without a nest egg to fall back on, you will work exceptionally, extremely hard to be successful at that what you wanted to do. So having a nest egg would actually be a crutch for you or anyone else that wants to pursue something that makes them happy. And that's what we do every single day when we go to work and do something that we don't want to do. We do that every single day. We want to create that nest egg to do what we really want to do, instead of just doing what we really want to do, accepting those things that come with that and living doing those things. All right. That's not what I wanted to talk about, though. That story was something that really was on my mind about we always want a nest egg to fall back on. Then we'll go do what we think we should or what we want to do to make us happy. What I want to talk about is this. I had a strange encounter in my complex where I live. I remember it like it just happened. There's a couple. There was an older couple that moved in. We'll call them Mr. and Mrs. G. They were asking me about the neighborhood. I was like, oh, okay, I was like, the neighborhood pretty good. It's all good and everything. And then they agreed. And a couple of days ago, they moved in, and I was walking, taking the trash out, and Mr. G was outside. He was looking at me like he knew me. And it kind of shocked me, like, yo, we only had like a basic conversation, but I'm cordial. I always speak to people and smile and, ask them how they doing. He said, I'm doing fine, but I understand that you're going through some things. And I was like, hold up, how you know? But I didn't say that. I didn't give him that. I just gave him a look like, yeah, he know what I'm doing, what I'm going through. It kind of blew me, right? I'm like, yo, that's crazy. But anyway, I said, man, let me take this trash up here and I'm gonna come holler at you. He was like, okay. He said, the wife ain't not cooking. She ain't not cooking. such and such, which just happened to be my favorite meal, salmon. I was like, how did they know I want salmon and I ain't really cooked none at the house? I'm taking it anyway. I was like, yo, I'm tripping, right? So I take the trash out and I come back. He said, you forgot you weren't gonna come back and holler at me. I was like, oh. So I go sit. I go to his porch. I go sit on this porch with him. He had two chairs, of course, one for him and one for the missus. But she was in the house cooking. So he sit me down and he started talking. He started talking it out. I was asking questions back and forth. He said, don't worry about it. I was like, don't worry about what? He said, you're concerned because you don't know your dad. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He said, you're concerned that if your dad would have been in your life, you would have been in a better position in life right now. He said, your dad is where he needs to be right now. And you came out, or you turned out better without having your dad in your life and going through the things you went through. I'm like, hold up, man, hold up. You know, I'm like, yo, this ain't what I came over here for. I thought I was coming to talk about, you know, the people that live in the nation. He's like, nah, he's like, I know what you're thinking. He said, listen, your dad wasn't in your life to make you the person you are now. If you would have had the guy that fathered you in your life, you wouldn't be who you are now. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. Like, because I think about that a lot. Honestly, I really do think about that. And I was like, how you know that? Like, you know, I'm getting like curious now. I don't get mad at that. I'm getting curious. Like, how you know I don't know my dad? He said, I know your mom too. He was like, your mom, the reason why your mom did the thing she did is because she had a problem accepting the death of her mom. How you know this about that? We don't even know. He said, I know a lot about you. Like, so now I'm curious, like, yo, what you mean? He said, I even know your middle name and the nickname, and I know the name that you grew up with. I was like, what's my name? He was like, yo, your nickname is Booty. I was like, dude, like, somebody told, who told? Then his wife came in like, yeah, your middle name, and your middle name start with a D. I was like, who are y'all? And they looked at each other and smiled, and she went back in and she said something like, I'm Miss G and that's Mr. G, just like that. So I said, okay. But I had noticed that, you know, throughout the day that Mr. G would always go to work in a uniform, like a tuxedo. He would go to work in a tuxedo, but he'd have a gym bag with him. I'm talking about he'd be dressed like he about to go to the prom or about to go get married all over again. I'm talking about clean shave, clean everything. Go to work. I'm retired, so I would see him leave, and then I would see him come back late at night, like it'd be 9:30. Dang, he working some serious hours. He leave like 7 o'clock in the morning. I know y'all like, why you up at 7 o'clock? Because I'm retired. I don't really have nothing to do. But anyway, so I'm checking him out, and then I was like, yo, why you always leave so early in the morning, and you always dressed up, and you come home, and I don't see no nothing on you. I said, what do you do? What is your job? He smiled. He said, man, I don't really think that you're ready for me to explain what I do. And I was like, well, you seem to know a little bit about me. He said, yeah, you know what? You have a problem with some other things too. You have commitment issues and you have trust phobias and stuff like that. He said, man, don't worry about those things. Those things you'll overcome in the next couple of months. Just, you know what you need to do? You just need to relax. I'm baffled now. I'm like, yo, what? Like, who is this? Who? I'm like, I said, man, listen, man, who are you? He said, I tell you what. I'm off today. But what we're going to do, we're going to go to the warehouse where I work at. I said, you work at a warehouse? I thought you said you work at a body shop. He said, I do. I work at a body shop. I said, isn't a body shop where they fix cars and things like that? He said, yeah, generally. but not this particular body shop. This is a different body shop that I work at. I said, so, well, what do you do at the barber shop? Not the barber shop now, at the body shop. Like, yo, what do you really do at the body shop? He said, I'm a maintenance man. I said, you mean to tell me you dress up the way you dress up, go to this body shop, and you're a janitor, and you come home still looking clean? I said, man, I look at you, you always clean when you come home. He said, yeah, my job isn't a dirty job. It's just that I'm the janitor. I mean, I do little small things around the warehouse. I said, okay, man, okay. I said, so what time do you want to go to the body shop? You know, I'm game. I'm thinking he pulling my leg or something, so I'm game. So he said, I tell you what, since you don't believe me. I was like, I ain't don't believe him. But anyway, he said, I tell you what, meet me at my house at 7:30 tonight. I said, 7:30 tonight. He said, yeah, don't worry about the phone calls you might miss. Don't worry about Madden, and don't worry about eating anything, because I don't want you to have to use the bathroom, because it's going to be a long conversation. It's going to be some things that you're going to want to know, and I don't think you need to be taking breaks during the conversation or what you're about to experience. He said, and by the way, that medication, you don't need all that medication. I was like, dude, this dude, he must be breaking him out. How do he know so much about me? I said, all right, Mr. G, I'll be there. I'll be by. I'm sitting in the house like, yo, I'm watching the clock. Like, hey, man, it's 5:30. I can get a game in real quick. But he told me not to play. He told me not to play the game. He said, just 7:30, meet him at his house, and we're going to roll out. I'm killing myself trying to figure out who is Mr. G and Miss G. I'm so nervous, so anxious. I leave my house at 6 to go over to his house. So I'm knocking on the door. Miss G said, come on in, Thadd. Like she knew who I was. Like, come on in, Thadd. I go in the house. She said, you want some salmon and some string beans and some. I'm like, yeah. No, I don't want to. She's like, anyway, I had already made you a plate. Go in and get it out the microwave. I'm like, golly. But anyway, so I eat, and I'm like looking at the clock, like, yo, I'm here early. What is he doing? So he comes out from the back. I guess he had took a shower. So let me come out. Here again, he dressed. I'm talking about dressed, like I said, like he headed to the prom or going to get married. I'm talking about this dude is always dressed for work. I said, I thought he was off. He said, I am. But I always leave the house in a manner in which no one knows what I do. And everybody will judge me based on what they see instead of getting to know me. And I say, yes, we do that all the time. So he had his gym bag, and he said, come on, you know what, since you're here early, we'll leave early. Go outside, we get in the car. He said, put on your seatbelt. Put on my seatbelt. I'm nervous, anxious, all these butterflies in my stomach. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, man, he might be trying to take me somewhere and knock me out. We drive for about 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We was headed toward Atlanta, driving about 30 minutes. Then we pull into this driveway. We pull into the driveway, pull into the parking lot. Parking lot full of cars. I'm talking about this is parking lot full of cars, but he has his own space in the front. He has his own parking spot in the front, like a manager or whatever. And I'm like, I thought he was the janitor. How you got a parking spot with your name on it? He said, man, I've been here for years. I've been working with this company for years. I said, okay. And then I look up at the top. He said, yeah, this is the body shop. So I look at it, and in the big black bold letters, the letter B, the period, the letter O, the period, letter D, period, the letter Y. And all these letters were capitalized. And he said, I know you got something you want to ask me. I was like, yeah, so I thought body was like this, what we're in. He said, it is. That's exactly what this warehouse is. This warehouse was the length of a football field. I'm serious. This warehouse was the length and width of a football field. And I said, you clean this place every day? He's like, yeah. He said, but before you go in, I want you to clear your mind. Literally, I want you to not think about anything, and I want you to clear your mind. We got to the door. There's no security, no locks on the door. We walk right in, and he said, whatever happens in this building, I want you to make sure you share it. Because there are going to be some people that won't understand, but there's going to be a couple of people that will. And those are the ones I want you to get the message to. I'm still confused. I'm like, yeah. He said, I know you're confused. Like, he knew everything I was thinking. And I'm thinking, like, what does body mean? He said, oh, yeah, you want to know what body mean, right? I'm always rubbing my head like, how this dude know me, man. How he know me? Then he studied calling me by my nickname. He wasn't calling me by my government name. He was calling me by my nickname, like from a childhood. Like, man, how you even know it? He said, don't worry about that. He said the word or the letters body mean, y'all ready for this? It says build or destroy yourself. I said, what? He said that's an acronym for build or destroy yourself. Body. I said I thought a body was what we in, what we. He said we are. That's exactly what I'm about to show you. Here is where we do that at. We build here. But once you leave, that's it. The body. Once you leave this facility, you're in your body. You build or destroy yourself. So I was like, yo, that's deep. That's crazy. I would have never thought body meant build or destroy yourself. So I go inside. He walks me through. He doesn't show cards. He doesn't punch the clock. I was like, yo, you ain't got to clock in and things. He said, nah, like I've been here forever since day one. I was like, Mr. G or G. He don't even have to clock in. He's like, no, man, I just been here so long. But anyway, I look like we come in at the top stairs, so I can look down, and there's a little M-shaped conveyor belt. I'm talking about. Remember, I told you it's the size and the width of a football field. So there's a person on both sides, like in the M. There's a person on this side of the M, person on that side, all the way down. Then at the U at the top, there are two people there. It just, you know what I'm saying? They're facing each other working. So I said, what do they do? He said, you ain't ready for that yet. Let me show you some other stuff first. I was like, no, what do they? He said, Thad, I know you want to know what they do, but you're not ready yet. Let me show you something else. So me being impatient, he said, that's the reason why I want to show you something else first. He said, I got to build your patience up. You're not patient. You always want things now. That's why we're going to do it this way. I couldn't say nothing because those are procedures or policies in which they go by. So he took me in a room. He said, listen, man, what you're about to experience, a lot of people won't understand. And he paused. He took a long time. I was like, yo, what's, get to. He was talking slow, so I would build patience with him. So I would be patient and basically learn patience from this specific. He said it again. He said, what you're about to experience, a lot of people won't understand. Now I'm really getting impatient. Like, what am I about to go through, man? Like, is y'all, am I gonna be down there and you gonna do something to me? Like, he said, actually, you were here before. He said, yeah, you were here before. He said, you were actually created here. I said, what you mean I was created here? I said, no, my mama, had me at Grady. I'm a Grady baby. He said, no, you were created here. And I'm like trying to debate with him on where I'm from. He's like, no, you think that you're from here, from like Atlanta. He said, no, you were created right here along with everyone else. All of the people you associate with, everybody you see, no matter from the richest to the poorest, from the youngest to the oldest, from the sickest to the wellest, everybody you see or ran across or haven't even seen was created here. So now my patience getting thin. I'm like, yo, we need to. He said, nah, sit here. You want something to drink? You want a Sprite, huh? Like, how the fuck you know? I like Mr. G for real. He was talking, but he was changing clothes. He was changing clothes and talking to me at the same time. So finally, after about 45 minutes, I ain't never seen a man take 45 minutes to get undressed and back dressed. So now he just has on this coverall. And even on his uniform, you know how the tag said Mr. G. Mr. G. I was like, okay, Mr. G. That's your real name. He said, yeah, my name Mr. G. That's it. So he said, turn your phone off. Turn your cell phone off and leave it right here on the table. He said, put it on the table, as a matter of fact. Put your cell phone on the table. Turn it off and put it on the table. He said, take the Bluetooth off too and turn it off. I was like, yo, what if I want to take pictures? He said, this is not about picture taking. This is not about you trying to get the most likes or anything. This is about you and something you have to experience. I said, this is testing my patience again, right? Like, you want me to, like, in a way. So I did what he asked me to do. I turned my cell phone off and put it down, took the Bluetooth off, put it down. Then he grabbed it, put it in a bag, a Ziploc bag, zipped it up, and left and went into another room. And he was gone for like 15 minutes. I was like, look, I wonder what this dude is finna do with me. He done put my cell phone. I can't call nobody. Don't nobody know where I'm at. I'm all these excuses like, what I done got myself into. I don't even really know this dude, man. I just know he stay in my apartment complex and named Mr. G. I don't even know what G stand for. I don't even know what Miss G do. I don't even know. I'm steady rambling trying to figure out all this stuff about these people. And I don't have no way of no outs or none of that because my phone gone and my cell. I'm like, yo, I can't even take a picture real quick that, maybe somebody can GPS my phone. None of that. I'm tripping. So about 15 minutes later, he came back in. He said, yeah, I seen you was in here tripping about me taking your cell phone, but don't worry about it. You won't need it. I said, this is got to, I looked at him. I was like, yo, Mr. Smith, this crazy. Mr. Smith, Mr. G, this crazy. I can't understand why you doing all this. He said, first we got to build up your patience for you to understand what's the next step. I said, man, I'm patient. He said, no, you're telling me that because you think that's what I want to hear. I said, nah, I'm actually patient enough right now to accept what happens. I'm not afraid of death. He said, I know you're not afraid of death. He said, you're not afraid of death. The only thing you're afraid of is the process of dying. I said, man, hold up. Say that again. He said, yeah, you're not afraid of death. You're afraid of the process of dying. I was like, wow, like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, but ain't everybody? He said, no, everybody doesn't feel that way. He said, but in your case, you're not afraid of death. You're just afraid of the process of dying. I said, you know what, man? I think I need to go home. He said, no, Dad. Then he called me by my nickname. He said, no, you need to come on. So I was like, yo, what about I'm trying to like make excuses, right? Like, nah, stop making excuses. I know what's on your mind. Just come on. So we walked out the door. The first, I'm so observant. I'm looking around as I'm walking, like just in case I get lost or something, I can know where I'm going. But I can hear the people downstairs, and we're upstairs. I can hear them moving and talking and stuff like that along with each other. And the first thing I see is a name of a man on the door. I mean, not on the door, but on the wall when I walked out. It was a man's name, and I'm like, who is that guy? He said, I said, who is that guy in my head? I'm like, who is that guy? He said, without me even saying a word, he said, that's your father's name. Now, come on. It's like, what? How you know him, but you ain't introduced me to him, but you want me to? I'm steady trying to like answer all these questions. Like, I'm like, how you, I'm like 40 now, and you just gonna show me his name? Like, I don't believe you anyway. He said, I know you have questions. Just come with me. Just come with me. He said, you're at a point in your life right now where me and Mrs. G have talked about it, and we decided that it's your time. I said, okay. But I was upset, and I was starting to get emotional, and I wanted to cry. I could feel it, like, yo, that's my. That's his name. I don't even know him. He said, before we go down the stairs, I'm letting you know you'll be okay. Everything gonna be all right. He said, remember when you was 19 and the doctor came and told you that you had an aneurysm in your head, and if you don't have this surgery, that you could possibly die. But if you do have the surgery, it's a possibility you'll be blind. And you remember what you thought when you got that information? I said, yeah, I remember it. And he told me what I said. He said, you said to the doctor, I'd rather be blind than not be able to listen to music, because I don't really care to see. I just like to hear music, and that gets me away. He said, that's exactly what you said, right? And I was like, yeah. He said, and you were also thinking that since you were in the military, you could basically have the surgery for free, so you wouldn't have to try to figure out a way to pay for the surgery. I said, yeah, that's exactly what I was like, man, how do you know so much about me? He said, it's not just you. I know a lot about everybody, Dad. He said, I even know how you really got your nickname. So he said, come on with me. He said, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. I said, but that's his name for real? He said, yeah, that's his name. He said he's seen you a couple of times, but he was in a situation where he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't approach you. I said, what about my mom when she was struggling? He said, your mom had a fight too, but her fight made you the way you are. You saw that, so that's what made you the way you are. So we started walking down the stairs, and it was like a conveyor belt. It was a conveyor belt. He said, "This is where you started. We'll start with you, so you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from." And there was a like I don't know how to explain it, but there are these babies, but they weren't together. They were like how can I say this? You know, if you cut a person in half, you just cut a person in half, and you have everything there. You just have a core, no heart, no lungs, no intestines, no arms, no limbs, nothing. You just have the core as a baby. He said, "This isn't where you started from. This is where you were created." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "This right here is where you were created. And so are your peers and the people you don't know. This is where you created." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Okay, we're going to just talk about you first." He said, "In the beginning, you were just a shell of the thorax. That's it." He said, "If you look down, you'll see separate titles, and then you'll see where these people do specific jobs on this belt." And I was like, "Yeah, I see it." I said, "I see one says limbs, and then I see one over there that says emotions." So I'm seeing all the things that he's telling me, and I'm looking, and I'm confused and want to ask questions. I know you have questions, but I want you to just take it all in, and I'll do my best to explain it to you. So he said, "Listen, you were this empty shell that's on this belt." He said, "When you were born, the first thing we gave you is a heart." He said, "We skipped, instead of rolling around and getting to the heart first." He said, "We gave you a heart instead of giving you phalanges. Everything, like every piece of your body is on this belt. Like if you lose this piece, that was on the belt. If you lose both pieces, that was on the belt. If you lose a hand, that's on the belt, on this conveyor belt." So he said, "We skipped all of those pieces first, and we gave you a heart first." I said, "Why y'all skip me?" He said, "Hope, don't ask any questions, just listen." He said, "I know you got some questions. I know you have questions." I said, "First, how you clean up in here?" He said, "Listen, stop asking questions and just listen." I said, "Okay, I'll just listen." So I'm on this belt. He said, "We skipped everything first and went to the heart for you. We gave you a really big heart." I said, "Why I got a really big heart?" He said, "I'm gonna explain that to you, but I got to tell you everything, and then I'll explain everything at the end." He said, "Oh," I said, "Okay." He said, "Listen, we gave you a really, really big heart." And then we moved on. He said, as you went past the belt, we looked at you and we said, "You know what else we'll give you? We'll give you courage." I said, "I don't want courage." He said, "Well, you got courage anyway. Like, that's what it is." He said, "We gave you courage." Then I said, "Well, bravery is right beside courage." He said, "Yes, it is, but they are two different things." He said, "We gave you courage next." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "Listen, stop asking questions and just listen." I said, "But the belt," I said, "I thought on a belt, you start from here and then you add the pieces as you go." He said, "Yeah, in general, that's what belts are designed for, conveyor belts and people working. That's what they're designed to do. But a lot of you guys weren't just put on the belt and then went around like that. That's why I'm explaining it to you. He said, so we gave you the heart and then we gave you the courage. Then we skipped and then we gave you a voice. We gave you a voice. Then he said, after we gave you the heart, we gave you the courage, we gave you the voice, then we went back to the beginning. I said, y'all went back to the beginning. He said, yes, we went back to the beginning. He said, you had those three things first. And I said, so I was born with a heart, courage, and a voice. He said, no, you were created and given these things. And then we started from the beginning. He said, don't ask me no more questions. Nickname. He called me nickname. I said, okay, I get it. He said, okay. So the people, they didn't stop to see me. They just continued working. They continued doing what they were doing. They just continued working. So we walked back to the front. He said, this is where it all begins. He said, your brain was put in. After your brain, we inserted things to help you see. We inserted an iris to help you see. We inserted sensors so you can smell. We inserted sensors so you can hear. Then we inserted things to see. Everything was an individual thing. He said, we gave you the senses to hear, but then we also gave you the ability to listen, then the ability to understand. Everything was separate though. See, we could give you the ability to hear, but then you don't listen. So we gave you the ability to listen, to hear, then to listen, then to understand. Then he said, along with that, we gave you the ability to accept things. We put that thing in you that says it's okay to fail, and don't be afraid to fail. See, now I'm going to explain some other things. If you look at this belt and the way I just explained it to you, everybody was created on this belt. Everyone was. Everybody had the ability to have 5 fingers on their left hand if they had a left hand. 5 fingers on their right hand, but everything was separate. You would get the middle of the hand. The next person would connect this piece of the thumb, and so forth. You would go around until they did a complete hand. Then the next person, well, it started with an arm. You know what I'm saying? It came from here first. Someone would connect the shoulder. Someone put shoulder muscles in, things like that. So every piece of the body was on this belt. That's why it was so long, and it had people on this side and this side. They were working as a team. And I noticed, like, some people weren't at work. Like, some people in the emotion, like on the emotional side, they weren't at work. Or he said sometimes some people just don't show up and come to work. Like the people that offer you the particles in your head that allow your hair to grow at a certain age. Some of these people, they didn't come to work that day. The people that give you sight, this is later. Like, you were born and we give you sight, but you still supposed to maintain. It's still supposed to be maintained, right? It's not something you do. It's something that they have to put in, because you're growing. It's like growth. It's like you're starting from here, from nothing. Now, say 20 years later, you're starting to lose your sight. You're not losing your sight because it's something you've done crazy or something. You're doing something because a person took a day off. While they were supposed to be at work, they was having a smoke break, or they were at the restroom when you were supposed to be getting something like patience. When you were supposed to be getting things like hearing is here, listening and understanding. So the person that was supposed to be giving you understanding at this time in your life, that person wasn't there. That person was out there on a smoke break taking a chill pill. So those people that came down the line and it was time for them to get understanding, or time for them to still have their fingers at age 17, they won't have it. And you'll think it's because they did something wrong. It's not that they did something wrong. It's just that when we were creating people, these things took breaks. These people that were creating you took a break. This is the best part about it, though. This is the best part, and I hope you really understand this, Thadd. He didn't call me Thadd. He called me by my nickname, though. He said, this is the best thing about it. He said, say, for instance, you going down and you at the emotional, or you're at another part of the conveyor belt, and somebody realizes that, hey, this guy has no way of being a leader. Like the leadership ability, the guy was not on. He was joking around with his people at work, so he didn't give you leadership. But since he didn't give you leadership, later on down the line, past that leadership, he gave you the work ethic. He gave you a lot more work ethic than the person with leadership ability. See, he was just the person with leadership. Everybody was even. But since you missed out on being a leader, we're going to make you a hard worker. And people will accept you for being a hard worker. Then he said, like, say, for instance, the people that are born and don't have their limbs and stuff like that. He said, well, what we're going to do with them, because once you start the belt, you can't like go backwards. So say, for instance, somebody is born and they're missing one leg. They're just born and the leg is limp, period. He said, well, since I took that leg away down the conveyor belt, what I'm going to do is give them really strong arms and a really big heart. I'm gonna basically, since they're missing or lacking this, we're gonna multiply or triple the effects of this, just in case, because we think he depending on his actions, he may end up being in a wheelchair. So we're gonna give him strong arms so he can be in a wheelchair, so he doesn't have to depend on anybody because he's missing a leg. He can still pull himself up. He can still walk around on crutches to cook for himself. I said, everybody went through that? He said, yeah. Now he said, there are really perfect people. We made perfect people with flaws. I like, hold on, that's like a conundrum, right? How you make a perfect person with flaws? He said, because this is what it is. If the guy that gave you strength was at work and he was doing his job, he was on time, he was rolling. But the guy before him gave you he wasn't there. Like you missed let's say since you got mental strength, this time you have mental strength. But the guy that was there that said, hey, I'm gonna take a break. While you supposed to be getting hearing and understanding, those guys were off. So we're going to strengthen up, but we're going to build you and give you more mental strength. So just in case this situation arises where you need to be, or you're trying to get your point across, you'll do it through strength. I said, but that doesn't make sense. Why don't everybody just start out the same? He said, Thadd, stop asking so many questions and just listen. He said, I'm going to explain that to you. He said, listen, we knew that this would happen. We knew that people would take breaks and call in sick and miss days and have days off because they are who they are, because we created them too. He said, but what y'all don't get is this. Y'all are supposed to be a team. I'm like, who is y'all? What are you talking about? He said, yes, y'all are supposed to work as one body. You're supposed to work as a team. So when you see that one person is not excelling or not what we consider smart, you don't ridicule that person. You help that build that person's strength up. You help that person because they not good at math, but you're good at math and reading and science and social studies. You don't talk down or say, yo, that dude can't do no math. No, it's designed because the person that was supposed to instill math and numbers and figures into them was off. So we recognize that. So a red light would go off when you got to the next station, and that person would give you the ability to see really well, or the ability to be a leader, or speak for, or see those flaws. We made other things, made you stronger in other areas. And I was like, he said, yeah, you getting it, right? I was like, he said, man, you got it. Just, I know you got it. I was like, yeah, but I said, don't ask me no more questions. Then I say, don't ask me. I said, okay. He said, but you get it, right? I was like, but you said don't say nothing. You said no ask. He said, you ain't got to answer question. You could just respond yes or no. I said, well, yeah, I get it. I get it. So I said, so what you're telling me? He said, there you go, asking the question again. I said, you're right, man, you're right. So I follow the conveyor belt. Now remember, this is a football field long conveyor belt. Football field long and width. So different entities are working different parts, different people. He said some people will have dreams and they will follow their dreams. And some people will have dreams and they're going to get strayed because we didn't give them the ability to stay focused. While we gave other people the ability to stay focused, those people that have dreams, they're going to be easily distracted by other things. So we're going to give them the ability to cook, the ability to rationalize. So just because this person is lacking in this, we're going to maximize them in other areas. I said, man, I got a friend and she can't have any kids. He said, yeah, I know her. He was like, yo, the day that they were supposed to hook that up for her, the dude had called in. It's a lot of them. He said, it's a whole lot of women out there that can't have kids. But what we did, if you look down, you can see her name. You can see it. Her name says she's a good mother. She will be a good mother to some other kids. So that's what we did. Because we seen that became a flaw, not by her, not by her, but it's just the laws of nature, the laws of life. We're going to still make her a good mother to some other people that can have multiple kids, but they don't have the concept of raising children. See, the person that was supposed to give them the concept because they got all these kids, he took a day off when she was supposed to be getting concepts on how to raise children. I'm like, so that stop. He said, stop asking questions. Just listen. I said, I get it. He said, but when you get it, you'll get it. He said, you're having problems accepting what you're going through right now. He said, Thadd, don't worry about it. You started there. Remember, we skipped all of those things and gave you a big heart. Then from the heart, we gave you those other things. And then we started. He said they have got to go through what they're going to go through because they too started right here in this exact same facility. I stayed there and I watched him. He said, oh, right now I'm going to go and do my job and I'll come and check on you later. I said, you going to leave me? He said, Thadd, stop asking questions. So I started walking around. I'm looking at the conveyor belt and I'm looking at all the different entities of creators, people that are creators, where they say that the creative gene, bam, I'm going to give him this. I'm going to give him the ability to jump high. I'm going to give him the ability to, I'm looking at all these different things. This guy's going to be able to throw well. This woman would be she's going to be a good teacher. She's going to be a good mother. This woman right here is going to be the one that, helps with the slaves and all these different everybody there was a everything there, every possible thing that you can think of was in this building. And he said, so I'll be back. He left. He said that, oh yeah, don't ask no questions. I was like, yeah, okay, I know, don't ask no questions, just look. So I looked and I followed the belt. And I seen everything. I seen from the tip of your finger to the bottom of your toes, to your intestines, your thigh muscles, everything being included. And I seen where some people, they would lose it later. Like they weren't taking it out. It's just, you have to maintain it and they will lose it later. I seen people that were really smart that then later on in life, they got dementia. And then I would see some people that were there in the beginning, but they only made it to a certain point, and after that, they were gone. I was like, yo, what happened? He said, Dad, I thought I told you not to ask no questions. I said, but what about the people that, Dad? So I put it together. I was like, so what he was telling me is people they start out pretty decent, and then they're not here anymore. It's not something that they did, or it's just the way it is. It's like, okay. So I just accepted that. He said, then he was like an hour later, I still was like, I was walking so slow, I ain't even make it around the M. I just was walking so slow because I was mesmerized looking at everything going on in this building. He said, you ready to go? I said, yeah, man, I think I've seen enough. He said, you sure? I said, well, I haven't seen enough, but I understand. He grabbed me by the shoulders. He turned me around. He looked me in my face. He said, you got it. He said, you got it. You got it. He said, come on, let's go. I said, I thought you worked at 7:30. It's only 5, whatever. He was like, yeah, but it's my building. I own the building. This is my facility. This is our facility. Me and Miss G. This is our facility. We run everything. We employ these people. I said, well, can I ask you a question? I said, man, I did a post about he said, I know what post you're talking about, man. He said the post about you think that basically the computers are gonna replace people and people will be losing jobs, and you care about that. Yeah, we gave you a big heart, man. We gave you that caring thing. He said, don't worry about it. He said, don't worry about it. Dad, don't worry about it. I said, okay. And we started back up the stairs. He was in the little uniform, the little uniform with the you put your whole body in like a onesie. He was in a onesie, and it wasn't dirty. That was his job. He just walked around. But he came back. He said, how's that patience? I said, I developed a lot of patience when you left, when I was looking around and seeing how this thing go, how this thing work. He said, I know, that's why I left. He said, but I didn't go anywhere. I was just right over there. I was watching. I said, oh, okay. He said, you were so excited about the line. You didn't even see me. I was sitting right there, but you didn't see me. I said, okay. He said, so that patience thing, how you feel about it? I said, man, I still want things done when I want them done, though. I mean, it's just the way I'm bit. I said, that's the way I thought it was. He said, you weren't built like that. I said, okay. He said, come on, let's go. We started walking back up the stairs. The name was the name was on the wall. It was still there. He said, man, yeah, don't worry about that either. He said, you turned out all right, man. He said, you turned out all right. Then come on in here, let me give you back your cell phone. I said, yeah, can I take a picture? He said, no, you can't take no pictures. This ain't like we went to no restaurant and you want to share it on Facebook and get all these comments and likes. I'm giving you back your phone when after I get dressed. So he went in and he went back. I sat at the table and I developed patience while sitting there waiting for him. I really didn't have any other questions. I just understood. It's like I understood. Then 30 minutes later, he came back out. He was like, yo, you got that patience thing down packed now. Now you just need to work on that commitment issue thing. It's like, like, dude, who are you? He said, let's go. He, he gave me the Ziploc bag. I unzipped it. He said, but you can't take your stuff out till we get outside the building. I said, all right, man. So I just zipped it back up. Then we go back to the car. We go get in the car. And I look up again. There it is. B, period O, period D, period Y. Build or destroy yourself. And that's what we do every day. We look at the flaws in everybody and see that they're different from us. And we ridicule them and we talk about them as if they had something to do with it. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it was. We were built. We were built to have flaws. We were built to be different. And we destroy each other every day by talking bad, by bullying each other, by taking from one another just so we can have more. We build or destroy each other every single day, piece by piece, and don't even know it. I was thinking that in my head while we was on the way back home. He said, yeah, you got it. You got it. I know it was time to take you. That's why we moved in your complex. So we can meet you and I can take you there. So you can really see what's going on. I said, but why you choose me? He said, because you was stuck. You was lost and you had all these questions about why. I was like, yeah, you're right. I still got a lot of questions. He said, I know, but you got time to figure it out. I'm not going to tell you everything. You just got to figure it out. Build or destroy yourself. He said, you know why you're not wealthy? He said, you're rich, but you know why you're not wealthy? He said, because you care too much. You care about what other people feel. You care about what other people think. And if you were become wealthy, your good deed would actually harm someone else. I was like, what you know about good? He said, Dad, I know everything about you. Everything. He said, so that's why you're not wealthy. He said, don't worry about the relationship that you have with your kids. He said, don't worry about the relationships you have with people that you consider your friends. He said, they all came from there too. By that time, we had pulled up in the apartments. We were about to park. He said, Miss G cooking some salmon again, some salmon and rice. He said, I know you want some. It's like, yo, I'm gonna turn down the salmon and rice. That thing was on fire last. He said, I know. So we parked and we go inside. And she said, hey, Mr. Dequan. How you know my middle name? Like she said, we know everything about you. And her husband, Mr. G, he was nodding his head like, yeah, we know everything about you. And he walked on to the back of the house, took a shower, and I was sitting at the table. This was a test of my patience because he took a shower. He waited like till he got all his stuff situated. And the food was already cooked, but they wanted me to sit at the table and continue to build patience because they know that was one of the flaws that I missed. So finally he come out and say, I know that patience killing you, ain't it? I know you like ready to eat. I was like, oh my goodness, these people know everything. He said, okay, then I'm on the way. So he came and he sat down. She gave us our food. We stood up as gentlemen, and we let her sit down and we thanked her for the meal. She said, I noticed that you stopped praying before your meal. I said, I stopped praying because she said, you don't have to explain why you stopped praying before you eat. I understand. She said, but give us a minute. I said, okay. So they prayed over their food. And I just looked around at the house while they prayed. And they said, amen. And I said, thank you. Thank you. That's all I said was thank you. She said, well, start eating. So we started eating. She stopped eating for a minute. And she said, you're wondering what's our name? I was like, yeah. She said, you're saying to yourself, Mr. and Mrs. G. What does Mr. and Mrs. G stand for? She said, Dad, we're God. That's how we know everything about you. She said, I know you want to ask me questions about your dad and why we took your grandmother early and why you have to have an aneurysm and seizures. She said, you remember he was showing you that conveyor belt? We gave you heart and courage and strength. We gave you those things because we knew you would be able to handle it. There are other people that we gave other things to. We gave them people those things because we know they would be able to handle it. And she said, some people have a thing called addiction. I mean, they're addicted to anything from sex to working out. Yeah, so it's a lot of things that you didn't get that they got, and a lot of things. You're supposed to be a team. That place is a team. That's why you have strength in certain areas and where other people are weak at. You have to help them, and they will help you. In that way, we will become a better place, a better living place. I said, I get it. I said, thank you for the meal. She said, you want that Sprite now, right? I was like, yeah. She said, you know that Sprite ain't good for you. You need to drink some more water. Like, yeah, but that Sprite, though. She said, I know. I went home and thought about everything that I had learned and everything that I had saw. And came out the next day. And I was headed to the house, but they were gone. Nobody lived there. It was empty. So I walked to the rent office, and I was like, yo, when did those people move out of apartment such and such? The lady looked at me, the rent lady said, what people? Who are you talking about? That apartment's been empty for about 2 months. We got a college student about to move in. In what? I think she said, hey, when is Sheila moving in over here? She moving in next month, I think. I was like, she moving in next month. I said, well, what about Mr. G and Miss G? She said, who is Mr. and Mrs. G? I said, I don't know. I don't know. Then I left. And I got it. I hope y'all did.